Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. Today on the podcast, we have agent number one, Stefan Lupel. Thank you very much for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Amazing. It's always nice to be at the office, you know?
It is nice. We're in Queen West, and that's where we're located. This is filmed in Queen West, and today we're going to talk about some predictions in the real estate market in 2025.
That's right.
But before we get there, I do want to let our viewers know that we will be doing an unboxing of this beautiful gift that we received from Tribute Communities in one of the new condos that we just sold recently.
That's right. Firmed up on it.
Challenging sale. High five.
High five, but we got it done.
That one took a while.
Long time, but that's how it goes, right? We are seeing definitely a difference like in the past month, even in the condo market, which we're going to get into a little bit, right? So there is some condos that have been sitting that are finally selling, right?
Yeah. So what you can expect from this podcast, this episode of the podcast, is our predictions on 2025. And with that said, let's roll right into it.
Sure, absolutely.
Go ahead. I'd love for you to. I know you got a list of hot topics.
We have some hot topics, there's a lot to get through, but I mean, let's just start it off really like, what are we seeing in the market, right? And that's a very broad question, right? That a lot of clients like to ask, but I think it's important for us as realtors to kind of help educate people along the way in understanding the market, because there are many facets to the market. So when we're talking the market, are we talking freehold market? Are we talking condo market?
Right.
Are we talking pre-construction? Because these are all different subsectors in the overall market, right? So I guess we can just talk about briefly, from either a buyer or seller perspective, right? Like, what are we seeing in the freehold market right now? Like, I mean, you have some freehold listings that have been selling lately and, are still on the market, some of them. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some sales happen in the detached. We're finding that there are a lot of buyers that are sitting, and they're pent-up buyers that have been waiting to sort of crack into that freehold market. We are seeing, condos are a little bit slower. So what I'm starting to see is, the cycle of that buyer looking to purchase a detached, but they need to sell their condo,
Right.
Or maybe not detached, but just a freehold property, but they need to sell that condo. And the condo sales are down a little bit right now, and things aren't moving as much. There's a lot of inventory on the market. I think there's something like 4 months of inventory on the market right now. So we're not seeing that cycle of, that condo selling. Now they're able to move up and purchase, that bigger, larger detached property. But overall, there is a demand for detached property. We have been selling a few of ours that we've had on the market.
Have you been seeing a lot of multiple offers in the freehold sector at all? Or
Yes.
you know what, here and there?
Yeah, it's the sweet spot of, that 1.5 million. So we're seeing semi-detached properties really start to take off and blow up.
And also, I think it's important to just help contextualize multiple offers, because when we say that term to a client who's not in the industry, right, they get anxiety when they think of that term, right?
Yeah.
And I want to also just help people understand that sometimes in a multiple offer situation, most of the offers that are being submitted by buyers are, for the lack of a better term, BS offers.
Yeah.
Right. When it comes to what offers are actually competitive, there's probably only maybe 2 or 3 of those offers. Like, say a house gets 10 offers, right? 10 registered offers. Maybe only 2 or 3 of those are realistically competitive, right? Maybe the rest of the 7 or 8 offers are just BS, low with many conditions that a seller wouldn't even consider. They're just going to dismiss, right?
Right.
And so that helps to educate buyers on you have a shot at it, right? If you are working with a good agent and you're savvy on the market, right? Put your offer in, see what happens, right? I know it's still challenging as a buyer, but still it's worth it to put the offer in to see how it goes, right?
And from the listing agent perspective, you want to have those multiple offers.
Yes.
Because the more offers that are registered, and the agents that are actually competing, at the higher end of those offers, they're going to see that, and they're going to bring a better offer to the table.
That's right.
So I try, as a listing agent, I try to encourage as many offers as possible to buying agents, because you never know, right?
That's right.
And then the more that we get, we drive that price a little bit higher.
That's right.
I mean, we don't want to necessarily drive it crazy high. It's not. That's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Because you get into a whole slew of issues like,
Yes.
does it appraise properly,
Yes.
right? And if prices are driving too high, then the affordability is thrown off. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And those are situations that we're seeing mostly like a few years ago, back in like say 2021, 2022 days at the peak of the market when, houses were selling for just insane prices, right? That really were like head scratching prices that didn't really make sense. And that's when there was these appraisal issues
yeah,
that would come up. I'm not really seeing that these days, right? I'm not seeing crazy head scratching prices going
right,
for houses. Like they are selling for market value.
yep,
So if you offer market value, working with a good agent, there's a good shot that you have a chance to secure that home.
right.
That's what it is.
And I think like having a balanced market and being able to put conditions into offers also helps as well, because now that appraisal does happen. The appraiser does come out. They do say, okay, yes, this is appraising, and yes, we can confirm that you will get a mortgage. And now it's just a lot easier for both the seller and the buyer. I think it's just it brings more confidence, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Are there any types of homes that like your client are like actively looking for these days? Like in your like on a buyer end, right? On the buy side, right? Like is there specific, I guess, price ranges or types of properties that you're kind of focused or dialed in on these days?
Right. Yes, I would say, that sweet spot again. I think, well, now that, the rules have changed and the affordability is up to 1.5 million. Last year, as of December 15th, that changed, and it was at $1 million.
That's right.
Right. So with that affordability, I think now people are like, okay, we can leave our condo. We're able to move now. We have a family. We are growing. So now they're thinking, okay, I want to still live in the same sort of neighborhoods in the downtown, not the core, but just the outskirts, I guess you would say.
I call them the streetcar suburbs,
There you
actually.
go.
That's the
That's a
term that I've kind of described, like, where I live or you live, right? Like, I live in Leslieville, but like anywhere from like, say, like, yeah, Ronsonville, High Park, Parkdale, Bloordale, all those neighborhoods that are just outside of the core, really walkable urban lifestyles and connected by the streetcar to the rest of the city.
exactly.
So that's how I've kind of described
Yeah, like subway, streetcar. I love that streetcar.
streetcar
That's
suburbs, right?
streetcar suburbs. So that's where I see a lot of my clients wanting to move to. A lot of them are downtown in condos right now. So yeah, now that they're able to sell their condo, the condo market is starting to pick up, and I think that's also because the government implemented the new rules with first-time home buyers.
That's right.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
And now first-time home buyers are able to get into the market a little bit better, and there's a lot of inventory. We talked about this before. There's a ton of inventory out there right now. One beds, 1+1s, even two beds. There's a lot of that inventory lying around. And those are first-time home buyers that are buying that, right?
Absolutely.
Either that or an investor. But we're seeing right now that opportunity for first-time home buyers. And I just helped a few first-time home buyers a few weeks ago. So they just got into the market, and now that allows the cycle to continue. So now that seller of the one bedroom can now move up into a larger
home, of
larger
course.
home, whether it be a 2 or 3 bedroom condo or that house that they're looking for.
That helps people just, yeah, like, get to the next step of their lives at the end of the day, right? We're talking about people's, homes, their own families, where they want to live. And it's true, if a first time buyer is able to pick up that 5 to 600K condo, right, from a seller who wants to upgrade to a 2 bedroom or even maybe a low rise home, right?
Yeah.
This is what needs to happen in order to have a normal functioning market.
Right.
Right. So, and
So what are you seeing out there right now
Yeah.
in terms of like multiples? What are you seeing out there?
for sure, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm looking for even one of my clients, freehold housing in the East End where I live, in and around the million 50 mark, which honestly is super competitive, right? Like, it's crazy how like when we think about it, entry level homes, entry level low rise homes, whether that's townhouses, semis, or detached, like it's $1 million, right, in the city of Toronto that we live in,
Yeah.
right? And but there is so much demand at that level, right? It's
Yeah.
interesting, and I kind of equated even like if you're a single person, entry level would be like maybe a condo, right, on your own income, like say the 500 mark in Toronto would be kind of like the entry point. There's a lot of condos in around that 5 to 550 range.
Now we'll get you like a one bed.
It'll get you a 1 bedroom. Yeah. I mean, I was even able to find a 1+10 for 510K in North York, not downtown.
Right.
Keep that in mind. Downtown, it'll be a 1 bed for that price. But if you look in different parts of the city, like North York or in the West, Etobicoke, you might even be able to secure a 1+10 for five, like low fives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and also how I've like kind of explained it to clients also just on like the like the overall markets, because like they sometimes worry like, oh, is my property value go down, is there risk and stuff like that, right? And I
Right.
kind of even I've thought about it this way, where at the entry level points of the market is actually kind of the most stable part of the market, because there's always demand to basically everybody needs a place to live. There's
Right.
always going to be people that have a need to move to somewhere that's livable.
Right.
And if you buy it that like lower end price ranges, like the 500K condo or the $1 million home, like they're sticky on the way down. They don't really go down in
Right.
price from
Yeah.
that level, right? When we think of markets that we've been in where like the prices, I guess, went down a lot, it's more in like the higher end ranges of the market,
Right.
right? Like that, maybe we're in like Oakville or Aurora or Newmarket, where some homes are like closer to the $2 million range, right? And those ones saw, a heavier price correction when we experienced those periods in like 2022.
Right.
But then when we look at like condos, they've gone down much less in price
They have. Yeah.
compared to those, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
They've sort of remained. They're not going up or down, which is really good. But yeah.
Yeah, one other thing that I just wanted to kind of touch on is when we're talking about condos, really, there's a lot of different messaging going on in the media and who you talk to about condos, but it's important to distinguish, guys, that there's a difference between a resale condo and a pre-construction condo, right?
Yeah.
They operate very differently,
Right.
right? And so it's important to, because and the data is even different too, right? Like, I mean, it's like you try to get the data, you can't even compare the two, right? Like they track sales in the pre-construction market, like the developers track that.
Right.
And then the resale market on MLS, we as realtors track that through the Toronto Real Estate Board. So the data is completely different.
Yeah.
And then the prices are completely different too, right? A new build product versus an existing resale condo, say 5 to 10 years old, is going to be at a completely different price range on a per foot basis.
With that said, can you let us know sort of what the delta is from resale?
Mhm.
So resale to pre-construction. Let's start with resale.
For sure.
What's the average price per square foot that you're seeing right now in condos?
Yeah, for sure. For Toronto condos, resale condos, I would say, anywhere in the range between $900 to $1,000 a foot is pretty common, right? Maybe downtown, it's probably averaging closer to 1,000, and then the outskirts of the city, maybe closer to 900, right? That's a very broad range, but that's where most of the valuations come in at.
Totally. Yeah.
And then if we're talking pre-con, it's gonna be like, I'd say starting at 1,500 a foot,
Right.
really,
Yeah.
right?
I guess it really depends on the project, but yeah, they can go up that high.
Yeah, we've seen 1,800 a foot on some projects right now,
Yeah.
right?
We're seeing over 2,000,
We're seeing over 2,000.
which is wild.
Yeah. And keep in mind, guys, when something is being sold at $2,000 a foot, we do have to keep in mind that they're using much higher quality materials, right? It's a completely different product compared to your regular condo that you're probably thinking of, right? Like this is being built for luxury condo buyers, downsizers who live in Forest Hill, Rosedale, right? These more premium established neighborhoods where they expect a certain quality of finish and build.
Right.
And they don't want like noise transferring between their units, right? Like they're using higher quality insulation, right? Like better equipment overall to build these, right? So yeah, there's many factors that go into building a condo. It's very complex, very time consuming. You gotta, understand how the planning and zoning works and working with the city. And yeah, it's something that intrigues me, but I also I can't imagine the headaches that a developer has to go through to build a condo in this city.
Yeah.
It would just give me anxiety
Too much red tape.
all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And that's kind of a reason why we have a bit of a housing crisis, because of the red tape. It's so hard to build, right? So it takes a while to add supply to the market. And
Exactly.
this is what we run into, right?
Do you deal with assignments at all? And tell me about the assignment world.
Assignment? world is very fascinating. Like I would say that sector is where you're seeing the real like what's the word I'm even looking for? Like deals, but like no, it's like flash sales. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like where
Fire sale.
fire sales.
Yeah.
Fire sales is the term I was looking for to describe the assignment market because you'll find opportunities as a buyer where the person who originally bought a condo from the developer is sacrificing their entire deposits they have already given to the builder in order to sell the condo, right? Now, just to make the numbers simple, if you bought a condo for say 500K from a builder and you put 100K down, 20% as the deposit structure works to a developer, and you really can't afford to close on this condo. It has not been fully registered or completed, and you can't afford to close and you want to sell it to somebody, okay? So what you do is you say, okay, I bought it for 500. I will sell it for, dare I say
450?
450? Yeah, like
400?
400, right? Like this is not like crazy out of like numbers. Like this is realistically what I'm seeing is you're just losing the entire equity that you put into the condo. Your deposits are wiped out, right?
And that's substantial depending on what the sale price was, right? Like you could be talking two, three, 400, $500,000 depending on that deposit.
It's insane.
That's a lot of money to lose.
It's a lot of money.
I mean, it's the pre-construction that that whole scene started early 2000s. It was highly lucrative, and I was actually speaking with an agent at our brokerage, and he was telling me that he was on a sales team for one of the developers. I won't name the developer, but that a lot of times they would have no skin in the game. That they would literally put no money down. Like they were talking about some like
This was happening like pre 2010s actually. Like no money down, no deposits, but I'm signing a contract to buy this unit.
exactly.
Yes,
Which
that
is
was
wild.
happening. That's insane.
Because the developer has to have a ton of money because they're the ones that are footing the bill.
So I saying,
Or like they're at least putting the deposit, right? Or the down payment. And the bank's obviously going to probably step in as well. But we're talking like that's a lot of cash.
it's a lot of risk for the developer. I mean, that's like because if the market goes down or it doesn't appraise, then that's like yeah, like that's eating into the developer's equity now on the building. It's a dangerous place to be and really not healthy for the overall market.
Right.
For it to be like that, right?
I'm glad they implemented, the proper rules and procedures in place in the pre-construction world. Pre-construction is still, it's great product. It's obviously priced a lot higher, but the amenities that developers are, bringing to the table now are, amazing. Like some of the best I've seen in the city, especially, the big developers like Tridel down at the Well. If you've ever, I know you've been down there. We've been down there a few times. They do an incredible job, and what they deliver in the end is A++ in my size.
Exactly.
Luxury, really.
Luxury, really. Yeah, when I think of the condo projects that I've done really well, or at least maybe I just like better and I can sell it to clients better, is like that type of higher end product that is, it's mostly built for a downsizer type of demographic. And yeah, like I said, Tridel, The Well, that's a great product.
Aqua Luna is
Aqua
another one.
Luna, amazing.
We're going to leave a link down in the description if you want to check out some of these projects from these developers like Aqua Luna or The Well. We'll have some information in there. You can check them out. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah. I have a question for you relating to this. So, because we've obviously said like what has been selling better in terms of pre-con is like we think it is those larger, bigger luxury condos. We haven't seen a lot of the micro condos selling that well. So I'm wondering now, do you think this is the end of that kind of micro condo investor focused type of deal, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I feel like there's always a buyer for something. And, I believe in some areas it still might do well. I know Brad Lamb's building the bread factory lofts or the bread factory building.
That's nearing completion. Yeah, if not already starting to occupy.
Yeah, exactly. Right near like Hospital Row, close to UFT. So I could see that doing well because A, you're close to school. So instead of a parent paying for residence for their child, and which could be hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time they finish.
Yep.
Why not buy an investment, a studio? Now they have their own space, their own stuff. It's just them. They can focus. Not so many parties happening, but I could see them.
Difficult to host. Yep.
But yeah, difficult to host
Yeah.
for sure. But purchase something like that, and then after 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, you go ahead and sell it, or bring in another student and lease it to them. So the other option is, because that's close to Hospital Row, you have a doctor that's that maybe not doesn't live in the city. Maybe they live in Oakville and they need a pied a terre at. So I could see that doing well in certain areas, but I think areas like Liberty Village, Entertainment District, places like that, I don't really see it doing well there. I think the appetite there is to have a larger floor plan. People want a little bit of space to host. It's sort of a young professional community.
It's interesting that you say that, and it's true though. Like, you really do have to, if you are going to buy one of these smaller condos, like 400 square feet or less, you really do have to be strategic on the neighborhood and location that you're picking, right? Because I agree, it wouldn't do well in Liberty Village, right? Or even Entertainment District, which is really downtown. But it's true, like, you're just not going to be able to find a person who's going to want to live in that location well. And also, let's think about resale, because that's critical, right? Like, who are we going to resell this to, right? If it's like unlivable, except for for a student or a young professional who just stays there from time to time, then like, you have to think about those things.
Yeah. There's still going to be people that will buy them, and that's fine. But I think the return on investment isn't as high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen some micro condos. I've seen some really small floor plans. I mean, I'm thinking like 350, maybe even smaller. I've seen some floor plans, especially at the bread factory. I remember seeing that a few years ago.
Small.
And I was like, holy.
Like, are we turning to Tokyo? Is this the trajectory that we are going on, right?
Eventually.
So, hey, I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, who am I going to resell this to if I buy one of these? That's my issue with them, right?
Yeah.
That's the real challenge that I find with them, right? Because if you expect some appreciation on it, okay, like, so we sell it to another investor, right? And then that investor is going to purchase it at a higher price, and then look at the numbers of what they can rent it to, and it just, you're going to be, floating $1,000 minimum a month on negative cash flow, which if that's your prerogative and you're hoping for capital appreciation, then you do your own research for figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
But hey, that is not my investment style. Let's just say that.
I hear you.
Make it clear.
So who is Stefan Lupol's ideal client? Like, who do you like to work with? What types of people do you like to work with? And what type of product do you like to work with?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do predominantly work with first-time buyers. And I'd say, like, let's break it down into even people that are buying their first home as a couple, freehold housing, right? I live in the East End, so I am pretty active at, looking at houses in the East End. I've helped people move west to wherever, buying townhouses in Oakville, Etobicoke, what have you. And then I also do a lot of condo sales as well, right? So when it comes to condos, I do have a lot of clients that are just looking for a condo for themselves, right? And that's like great. I love working with people that are looking to just buy their first condo.
Yeah.
Some people have higher budgets even for their first condos, right? Like, I mean, some people are buying like $800,000 to $900,000 condos for themselves, right? Generally, that's more of like a family money type of situation, where they just want a nice pad for themselves, living downtown in a loft 2-story condo, for instance. That's happened.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of people that just want, simple condo, right? 1 bedroom, 500 to 600K, because that's what they can afford. So those would be pretty common.
That's your ideal client?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I do like going to lofts. I have sold quite a few lofts in
There's
this.
still a lot of the buildings too in the city, which is great. Like, a ton of buildings. Yeah. So I think a lot more than I do.
90 Sumac, Knitting Mill lofts. Yeah, some on Carlaw. Love the Wrigley factory. That's one of my faves, actually. 245 Carlaw. Haven't sold a condo in there yet, but I have showed that to a lot of my buyer clients, and it's always It's always a nice experience just going into one of those more historical buildings that was maybe used as a different purpose back in the day, right? I mean, that was like the Wrigley gum factory, right? And then it was converted to residential lofts in the early 2000s, right? So it's always interesting when you just like,
A lot of history.
I love the history, the historical content, right? So
Maybe we'll drop a link in the description. Just Stefan's top loft buildings.
love that.
Yeah, we can put together a list of available on the market right now.
I'm planning to do more historical content once the weather gets better, you know. I'll be out there a bit more often, right? Right now it's kind of like, oh, I don't really want to do that much stuff outside, but once the weather gets better, I'll be more on that path. Let's just say that.
Nice.
Yeah. Guys, it's that time where we have to unwrap a gift.
Let's get to the unwrapping. I know I've been waiting, close to 10 months for this because it's been sitting in my office here in Queen West for a long time.
I'm really curious what would be in this. This is actually like,
We don't even need this.
oh my God.
So this is from Tribute Communities. When you purchase a pre-construction condo unit, they just leave this in the condo for the home buyers. Fortunately or unfortunately, my clients didn't pick it up, so I grabbed it for them. They said open it up. So we're gonna have a look at this. We're gonna see what a developer typically gives. There's 2 parcels here. Here, I'll let you do this one, sure. Model matte black. What's Keurig? Keurig
coffee?
coffee stuff, right?
Yeah, it
Was a coffee maker.
Well, we have some mugs.
Well, this starts to make
Has
more sense.
unbranded minimal mugs.
Okay. Okay. So we got a little Keurig. This is fun. Keurig, I don't know what we need.
Hey,
Pods?
mini. Oh, it is the pod one.
Yes, there you go.
Look at you.
There you go.
K-Mini Keurig.
Keurig
Mint condition.
for the office. Potted up.
Fits anywhere. Less than 13 centimeters wide. Okay, that's what it says.
Cool. Keurig. Awesome. Well, thank you, Tribute Communities. Appreciate that. Stefan, I want to thank you very much again for coming on the podcast, Conversations in Queen West. Now, if you like this type of content, please subscribe, send us a comment. That would be great. And stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to talk to probably Stefan again or maybe someone else on the team. Thanks again. Take care.
Take care, guys.